I hope you're all doing well and that your families are safe and healthy right now. I know you guys, this is a pretty unique and difficult time for us all. And as fencers, this is kind of a challenge for us to keep practicing and working on stuff. But Coach Lucky and Coach Bill and I wanted to put some things together so we could show you ways that you could continue to practice, maybe even improve your skills in spite of being quarantined and stuck at home, maybe with little equipment or nobody to practice with. Now, first, I'd like to tell you a story, but I don't really have the whole part of the story. I might have the important parts. I have a friend named Charles, and Charles started a club in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Now, when he started this club, it was brand new. They didn't have a lot of equipment, and a lot of the students in the area who he was giving lessons to didn't have a lot of money. Now, that may not really apply to us, but the parts that I wanted to tell you about were his students had to figure out ways to practice and to continue to practice when they had maybe only a mask and a weapon, not even other people to practice with. Now, I know most of you, and probably just like me, didn't sign up for fencing so that you could practice alone. We're going to be showing you ways not only to practice by yourself, but what I'm hoping today is that if you have some limitations with equipment or with people you can practice with, this might be a solution that would help you so that maybe somebody who, if you don't have siblings that you could practice with, even non-fencing siblings, but find a way to practice with somebody, maybe a parent has some spare time and they could be practicing with you for a few moments even. This would be way better than just practicing by yourself. Now, the hard part is you're saying, but coach, we don't have equipment. Well, the one thing that I wanted to show you is at some clubs that I have been at in the past, we've used a lot of variety of things that we used in place of fencing equipment, and some of them worked. One of the things that we have been using was pool noodles. Now, unlike just a boring old pool noodle, I thought instead you could give yours a different life as an indoor fencing practice sword. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you the details of how I made a couple of these, and the advantages of using them are nobody's going to get hurt. You probably can use it inside so long as you don't go around smacking your siblings' pets or people who don't want to get smacked by it. And as long as you're able to use the tools that I use to do this or get a parent's help to make it. The things that I used were a couple of pool noodles. This one is my yellow one that I have made. I have another green one. Some scrap cardboard from an Amazon box, a PVC pipe, and then I wrapped the tape and handle. Now I'm going to show you this step by step of how I made each part on the rest of the video. So if you guys will check this out, we can get started. Okay, you guys, here's how I made the indoor practice swords. First, I had to gather some materials. I got 3/4 inch PVC pipe. I bought that at Home Depot. I bought a longer pipe so that I could make multiple swords. Just one pipe was just like a couple dollars, but you do need something that you can cut it down so that it does not go through the whole length of the sword. I have a couple things at home that I can use. I have different types of saws to use, and I have a skill saw. Depending upon who's going to be putting this together, there are some steps where you might get some help, and cutting the PVC is one of them, because unless you are able to use power tools on your own or even saws, you might want to get somebody that can help you to put it together. The foam, the pool noodle, is just a smaller diameter one. There's two sizes. When I got that at Target, and there's two sizes. There's a skinny one and a chubby one. I got the skinny one because that was more closer to the size of a real sword. The chubby one is just so gigantic, it would kind of make a ridiculous sword. But whatever, if you can't find the skinny one, the bigger one will work too. It'll just be a little bit larger. And then the last piece that I used was just a scrap piece of cardboard from Amazon mailing box. In order to get the bogart shape, I did have to use a roll of duct tape that I used to trace around, but we'll see that when we get to that step. So the first step is you want to get your materials. Now, there could be other materials if you guys want to decorate or add stuff onto your sword, like the grip tape that I put on, or Hannah put some reflective sticker on the front of her bell guard to make hers fancy. You could draw on yours. If you want to make Coach Lucky super jealous, you would put bike tape on the grip. Anyway, whatever, just as long as it kind of functions the same way and you can still use it safely indoors, that's what we're really trying to accomplish right now. So the step I did, the first step of actually building them after I got the materials, was I needed something to measure the length of the blade with. Now I happen to have my fencing gear at home, so I was able to measure my my pool noodle against my EFA. Now when you do this, probably it would be a smarter idea to use a permanent marker to mark the length of where you want it to cut off. I cut it, you can see in the video, I just cut it with a razor blade to mark it off, and then I cut around it. That's probably not the smartest idea, just because you might accidentally cut yourself. Now, I would do it next time by marking it down with a permanent marker and then cutting it. That would be a smarter way to go. After I cut the length of the blade, I didn't throw away that small scrap piece. That small scrap piece I used because after I cut the foam, I needed to know how long the handle was going to go through the foam. The PVC pipe goes through the inside of the foam. If you got the right size PVC pipe, in my case, I found that the 3/4 pipe worked. It fits right inside the pool noodle foam, and it will give it a little bit of stiffness. You could, in an emergency, just use a pool noodle in order to play with, but they don't have enough stiffness, and doing some fencing maneuvers like parrying and other things really won't feel the same, and they're not, it just doesn't work. So you need a little bit of stiffness, but not too stiff, because if it doesn't have any flexibility, you're not going to be able to poke anything without causing some damage or maybe hurting somebody, and that is also against the idea of what we're trying to work with. We're trying to work with something that we could use anywhere with anybody totally safely. So the grip, the handle, the PVC, doesn't go all the way through the foam. So what I did was I used this scrap piece to measure from the end of the foam blade, and I didn't want the PVC going any farther than that. So what I did then was I measured the tip of the PVC against the tip of the scrap foam. You can see what that really looks like in the picture where I have it set up. The first one that I cut, I used my PVC saw, and I cut through a couple of those. It took a little while for some of that, and then I got out my skill saw to do the rest of them. Again, depending upon whatever tools that somebody might have to cut that. There's also some PVC cutters that look like a little clamp thing with like a scissor on it that slices through it. Whatever somebody has around to cut it will work. Just that's the part that many of you might need to get some help with, just if you don't have something, or if, some of you younger guys, if you're not comfortable using any power tools or anything, or even just a saw, you might want to get some help, because again, even though my my bad example with my razor blade, I don't think you guys, I'd show you one if I was doing something unsafe with my power tools or even my saw. So you get some help if you need it with those things. After I did that, we're pretty much done. We can put the pipe right inside the foam. Some of them, if it's a little bit small, it may require a little twisting motion to help it out and to get it completely snug in there. Now after that, to make the bell guard, I just found some scrap cardboard and a roll of tape to cut a big circle. I didn't need to use anything other than the scissors to cut it out. You could use the same razor blade or anything just to kind of cut out the circle after you made it. Since I was making two of them, I cut two of them out at the same time. And in order to put the pipe through that, I pulled the pipe back out of the foam and I measured by my eyeball about where the middle was. I just stuck the pipe on top of the cardboard and traced out where the grip, kind of the diameter of the grip, little circle inside the big circle. Now, the easiest way to put them in is just like how a straw goes into a drink cup. I just cut a little cross in there and then poked it out with my thumb. The cardboard's way stiffer than a drink cup, so it's like you can't just shove it in there. But I used my thumb to widen the hole a little bit, and then I was able to put it on. When I put the grip on, I have an old fencing grip that I measured in order to get the length of my handle, the same size as a fencing handle. So when I put it all together, I put the cardboard bell guard on top of the PVC, and then I put the foam on top of the PVC and squished them all down until it was just the same length of a handle from the end. That was pretty much, you could pretty much be done there. A couple of extra steps I did, which may or may not be necessary. I did use some hot glue to glue one of the swords together, but I found out that they'll pretty much stay together, especially if you tape the handle with some kind of tape to give it a little bit of a grip, or if you're decorating it some way like that, it might stay there. Now, I don't know how long these things will hold up to some abuse. We'll have to find out as we're going, but definitely I know that after just kind of hitting them around a little bit and testing them out, they do seem to hold up. Even though they bend and they have a little bend in them, you can pretty much straighten them right back. And as long as you're not hitting them really hard on something or jamming them into things, I think they'll work for a little while. And if not, we can always build another one.
Check with your parents before using any tools, including sharp tools, pointy tools, power tools, and hot glue guns. Please do not destroy your younger brother's favorite pool noodle or your home sprinkler system to obtain materials for this project. Fence responsibly and have fun.